Wake up, Baltimore. Good morning. Go get your coffee, your donut. Come right back. You don't want to miss this show. We'll be right back to you in a minute. Good morning to all of you out there that have awakened to listen to us this morning and watch us this morning on Wake Up Baltimore, a new show that is all Baltimore, all positive news. And I can't tell you how grateful I am at last week's show, which was off the charts, off the chains. It broke all sorts of records on viewership. And I didn't even know you guys were watching, man. Many of you all are up already. Now we just need you up to showcase some of the good things that are happening in our city, which is going to be all that we talk about. But before we really get into it and get started, there's a lot that goes into this production, man. And we want to tell you about it. And many of it is with our young people, And one, first and foremost, I want to introduce is Joshua Evans. Come on in here, Joshua.
Hey,
Joshua,
how
how
you
you
doing?
doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey Joshua, I know you're from the residuals of Baltimore, but we're going to claim you in Baltimore. You probably was born in Baltimore, you lived in Baltimore, but anyway, you're a great guy. And thank you so much for creating that opening clip that people saw. Dun, 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 and those awesome pictures. Now, Josh is a student. Where, Josh?
I'm a student at Millersville University in Pennsylvania.
And you are a what? You're a
Graphic.
sophomore, junior?
I'm a junior. Yep.
And what are you majoring, Josh?
I major in graphic design.
Man, you did a fantastic job of graphic designing that stuff for me. I'm a 18th century guy, man. I have no idea whatsoever about anything graphic. And to have you young people, we're going to introduce some more young people that help with this awesome show. Josh, man, I just wanted to bring you on and thank you. Now you're at school now, right? You started school?
Yes, sir. My semester starts today.
Wow. Now tell me, Baltimore, all that we hear that a young guy like Josh in school, bright, bushy tail, bright eye, right, that has done some awesome work that we shouldn't be showcasing him. Josh, great job. Now go get ready for school, man. Your lunch ready?
Yeah, my lunch ready.
Did you have breakfast?
Not yet. Nope.
Go get some breakfast, Josh, and we'll see you back here soon, man. And again, Josh, thanks a lot, man. Have a fantastic semester. Josh, you also did some stuff for us in our other broadcast, 60 Minutes in Black America, and we're going to bring you back on in September and give you your kudos then, man. But great job, man. Hope you had a great summer. Have a great semester, Josh. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's all about highlighting the good in people and the good that people do. Kids like Josh, and then I'm going to bring in some other folks that have helped with this production team as well. You know, so Leon Thomas, Leon is ancient like me, right? Where's he at? He probably doesn't even know what button to hit. Hey, there's Leon right there. Ancient Leon. Now, doesn't Leon look ancient like me? Kind of like he's ready for a, Santa Claus sort of thing, but it's all good. Now, Leon is my man. Leon is our executive producer of this show and our show 60 Minutes in Black America. He also has Leon Thomas Group Studio or Leon Thomas Group, where if you need help with your stuff, Leon's going to make sure that you have information to contact him. And when I mean by your stuff, if you're trying to do something out here like I'm trying to do, and you need some students, some young people that are able to assist and help you, because this is good opportunity for them as well. Leon's your man. Leon, tell everybody about you and what you do, man.
Mike, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show this morning, and thank you for allowing our team to work with you as well. As you mentioned, I am so blessed to be the leader of the Leon Thomas Group. You can learn more about us by going to the website, theleonthomasgroup.com. And what we do, we provide production for shows like this, virtual events, educational webinars, things of that nature. That's what we do. And the thing that we're most proud of is that many of those that work with us are students. We have Jasmine Pollock, for one example. Jasmine is a student in Florida at Warner University. She has her own show called First Impression Sports Talk, and you can watch that show every Monday at 9 o'clock. We have students, also another student in Florida, Jeremiah Nixon, who works in production. We have Tamar Wirtz, a student, a recent graduate of Centenary University in New Jersey. And we're going to have, it looks like we're going to have a connection with Bowie State University here in a few months, that we will have some students from there working as well with us. Now, the other thing is that we provide opportunities for those that want to get into virtual event production and other parts of broadcasting. And so some of those folks are working with us today. So we're just so happy with the things that we're
Well,
doing.
let's bring them on. Let's
Yeah.
introduce some of these other folks, man, because it's a wonderful thing, right? Fox has nothing over us. Fox has nothing over us. Put us in your car and you can watch, because I see y'all all the time texting and driving. So there's no reason why you can't watch this show and listen to this show as well. Take a shower, take whatever, and watch this show as well, because this is what it's all about. This is about all positive things. And as Leon said, we've got young people in college. You just saw Josh that are helping produce this fantastic. This show today is going to be absolutely awesome, man. We haven't even gotten to it. We just want to acknowledge the people that are just like you, look like you, that are behind the production of something great like this. So let's bring Dion in. Dion, come on in here, Dion. Where you at? Dion, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Is it Pastor Dion now, or are you still getting? Dion just graduated from seminary college.
Yeah.
And are you a pastor yet, Dion, or where you at, man?
You could just call me Dion. That's fine.
Are you Dion? So
Yeah,
10 years from now, you send that collection plate my way. I can still call you Dion?
Yeah, you can still call
No,
me
Dion,
Dion.
it doesn't work that way. You let us know when you become Pastor Dion. And Dion, thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you for all that you do. You're an awesome, awesome guy. Dion is in the Baltimore region as well. And Dion helps with this production team, Dion. And we'll get a little bit more from you later. But I want to bring Oren in. Oren, where you at, Oren? Where you at? Oren, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Good morning, brother. How are you?
I tell you, man, you look too young to have 10 kids, man, but it's all good because they're all from the same beautiful wife. Is it 10 or 5, man? Did I double it for some reason? What did I do?
You doubled it, but it's all good, man. I'll take that.
It's all good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That may be an omen, Oren, that
Hey,
you
man.
just wind up having 10 kids, man, you know?
I'm good with that. I'm good with that, man. The more the merrier.
Oren, now you're in the Baltimore area, right? Are you in Baltimore?
I'm not. I'm a Baltimore native, but I'm down here in the Texas region now, man.
You're in Texas from Baltimore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what did you do in Baltimore, man? Where did you grow up at in Baltimore?
So I'm grew up in Northeast Baltimore, but I'm from all around, man. So my
You're from
roots,
all around.
yeah. My roots reach out east, west. Indeed. Yes, indeed, man. So I'm definitely born and raised Baltimorean, man, as they say. Yes, sir.
Oren, thank you so much for being part of the production team. Now, I know that you and Dion have a show starting this week, I believe, called what? Tell us very quickly about that show.
Yes, it's called Growing on Camera. Dion and myself, man, we're gonna get a chance to just tackle some interesting topics surrounding around religion and spirituality. Uh, really, just have a good conversation. He and I, and along with the audience, enjoying delving deep into Scripture, to the Word of God. Some different opinions we may have, and difference of opinions we may have, but as we both said, and we kind of shared the other night, that we want people to comment, share their, perspectives, but just come along for the journey with us, man.
Fantastic, man. Good luck to you and Dion, and I'll be tuning in. And
Please
thank
do.
you so much, man, for being part of this production team. Now
Yes,
let's
sir.
bring in finally Kelly Johnson. Where's Kelly? Hey, Kelly, how are you? Kelly is going to be our weather woman starting next week. Kelly does some awesome voiceovers, man. And Kelly does a great job on our production team. Kelly, tell us a bit about you. You're on mute, Kelly.
Sorry. I graduated from Morgan State University.
Morgan State in Baltimore.
Yes. And I met Leon about a year ago and have been working on his team ever since.
Great, Kelly. Thank you so much. And Kelly, you're going to be our weather woman starting next week on Wake Up Baltimore, right?
Yes, yes.
Kelly has an awesome voice, an awesome weather voice. And this is what we're doing, expanding Wake Up Baltimore, expand the network so that you don't have to go anywhere for your news. Weather, sports, special interest stories, and you'll hear them. Kelly, thank you so much again for being with us. Thank you for waking up Baltimore.
Okay.
Wake Up Baltimore is a production that talks about all things positive in Baltimore. We give you a bit of the weather, a bit of the news, a bit of the sports, as long as it's all good. Because in order to begin to change the climate of our city, we got to begin to change the conversation and the trajectory of those conversations, and that's what we will achieve. And what we like to do, we like to recognize, I'd like to pay tribute, because you will see this coming up in the next episode of Wake Up Baltimore, tribute to Baltimore's awesome DJs. And so to kick that off, we're going to pay homage and tribute to a guy named DJ Sugar Chris. Many of you may have known of DJ Sugar Chris when he was out there. DJ Sugar Chris almost makes me want to cry to see his face, because he enlightened Baltimore with his music, right? And he died during COVID, man. And I'll never forget you, DJ Sugar Chris. And this clip is in tribute to DJ Sugar Chris from Baltimore. Play that clip, production team.
Having a good time in Baltimore at the Crabcakes. Here you see the crab. And here you see the folks having a good time. I gotta get you in here too. Go back in there. No,
You know you lose, everybody knows. It's not so ain't no rules, what you do.
that's good. That's good.
Like bring the evening on. We never take a shake when we do. But you get down, down, real dance, that's what you do. Down, down, do you dance, down, down, do you dance, do you dance.
Here's a DJ.
in tribute to DJ Sugar Chris. And our episode, which begins next week with some outstanding DJs in Baltimore, will be a tribute to DJ Sugar Chris, an awesome, awesome, awesome guy. You know, and I know you guys, you might as well get up and shake it. Many of you can't do anything but chair dance anyway, like me. But you know, why not get your day off to a good start and get your feet moving and your body moving so that when you get into work, you're ready to go and your attitude is all different versus sitting there listening to some of these newscasts, man, that just have you like, man, why am I even getting up out of bed in the morning? It's a new day, Baltimore. Wake up! So let's talk a little news, right? And we haven't gotten to a point where the news is absolutely 3 sheets long yet because it's hard to find positive stories. And as we said, we're not talking about political innuendos, political negativity. We're only talking good things in Baltimore. And I had a chance to circle around Baltimore this week, man, the Vegan Fest down in Port Covington, the Power Fest that was down at Rashfield that started at Pier 6. And we're going to talk to Chap Lovelace, you know, in a minute, who was the I see you, David Murphy. You are woke, David. And David, you're part of the Wake Up here in Baltimore. You know, but Chap Lovelace, who has a show every Monday at 6 p.m. on this network, right? He oversaw Power Fest with a couple of his good people in his tribe, as he described. And, you know, let's bring Chap in to talk about the highlights of Power Fest, you know, for a minute. But play this clip first of the winning band. Last week we talked about the Battle of the Bands in Baltimore, and the winning band was the Baltimore Go-Getters. Bring Chap into the studio. Chap, where you at, Chap?
Hey,
Hey,
brother,
first of
thank
all,
you so
good
much,
morning, man. Good morning, Chap. Wake
man.
up,
Wake up.
Baltimore. Tell Baltimore to wake up. Hey, first of all, I want to ask, why they call you Chap, man?
So long story short, I'm a full-time volunteer chaplain for Baltimore City for the community of the
Man,
city with the
I knew that.
authority police, but not a police chaplain.
I knew that. And I just want everybody else to know,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah, I'm
So
not some British guy.
we just saw the Baltimore Go-Getters who won the Battle of the Bands, right? We just saw them, and I know you guys love the little piece, and I know we don't have much time, but we want to talk about the successes of your event this past weekend down at Rashfield. So go for
real
it,
quick,
Chap.
most important thing I can share is the love, man. So that was a clip from the June's event we did down Pensy Ave. We do all the time in the neighborhoods. So we decided to bring our talent and our beautiful Black Baltimore culture to the Inner Harbor to be showcased and seen and heard. We did a parade around the harbor. Bands took a little break when they got there before competing in front of some judges on stage. one of the great, most beautiful things that happened. I had one clip of one of the beautiful things that broke out was we had a little dance off between some of the kids in the band while we're waiting to compete. I'll show you that real quick and then finish up here. So this is our girls. They weren't doing this down the mayor's event. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We had a good time.
All things positive.
It was all love, baby. No, it was all love here today, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that reminder. It was all love.
And this is a dance off, huh?
They were just chilling, having fun, waiting for the
competition
to start. Yeah, man. So
well, it brings tears to your eyes when you see things like this, man. These are our young people, the young people on Pennsylvania Avenue that were marching down there, and there were hundreds of marching band participants, right, Chap?
Yeah, so everybody that day was a rock star. They got to show out on the harbor. They got to show out on stage at Rash Field. The most beautiful thing that happened that day, besides that love right there, was that one of our paid vendors who came to, do some selfies and stuff. His name is David. I believe his name is David Brown. He stepped up and out of love, his heart was moved by what he saw in our community, and he donated $500 to every band that participated, regardless of whether or not they won.
Wow.
So we'll get that information out on my show at 7:00, and we'll share a little deeper, man. Thank you for the spot. I love you guys. Love what you do.
Hey, Chap, let me tell you, I met the police officer that was shown in that picture down there, He was absolutely awesome. He and I talked for a couple minutes, man. He was taking pictures with the kids. Don't tell me about the negativity anywhere when you meet awesome officers like this that are willing and ready to engage the community that engages them. And this is what it's all about, man. As we show love, we get love and we give love. And that's what it's all about here in Baltimore, Chap. And I thank you so much because you gave out a lot of book bags as well, man, right? You had health events down there. You had the Baltimore Red Line Coalition down there as well. I mean, you had an awesome time. You had a mime group down there on stage. And we need to get out and see. And we get ready to talk to a second. I don't want to spoil your girl, Cheryl, right? So we got your girl, Cheryl, that's going to be a part of this broadcast going forward, telling us about great and awesome arts and entertainment event. But you had an interaction with your girl Cheryl as well, didn't you?
Did I? Oh man, I don't know. Did I? Was she down there? I'm not sure. She's the letter teller.
Oh my! Well, I'm gonna let her tell.
Connect with her. I love my girl Cheryl. She is so plugged in.
Well, that's your thing. Is that she's the one that puts it out there, right, Chat?
Yeah. No, I would love.
You know about it, right? And she's going to bring us all the positive events like we saw this weekend with yours and others that are around town that we don't always hear about, man. But listen, we'll listen out for you tonight at what time? 7 o'clock?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. on blackusa.news. Chat Loveless, thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations. Awesome job, man. And let's get to the news real quick because we got a lot going on. I see we've got our foodies in the house. Chef Casey Jenkins and Baker James Hamlin, and we've got your girl Cheryl. So let's get to the news. The Baltimore Orioles took 2 out of 3 from the Boston Red Sox this weekend. They're still 2.5 games out of the final playoff spot, but who was to think that the Baltimore Orioles, who are a very exciting team, would be 2.5 games out of playoff contention? They played on ESPN last night. And the Little League Classic, did an awesome job interacting with those kids. Hats off to the Baltimore Orioles. I stayed up last night till about midnight watching our Baltimore Ravens, man, who won their 22nd straight preseason game, right? And they did it without Lamar Jackson, who were holding back, right? And thank goodness we're holding it back because we would just be killing people at this. Well, we won't use that word killing. We would just be overwhelming people at this point. But Huntley, and Brown, Anthony Brown, 28 of 35 passes, no interception, and they got this kid Isaiah Likely. Now, how can you not like a guy with the last name Likely, right? That caught 8 passes, 100 yards, and I tell you, man, this kid is a player. Baltimore Ravens won last night, 23-17. They've got a unbelievable team this year. Can't wait to get them going. Can't wait to see them get started. And I tell you, can't wait to see our man Lamar Jackson on the field again. And then finally, weather. So today, it's rain, right? Starting at 2 o'clock, a lot of rain. So if you haven't left home, take your umbrellas with you, right? Tomorrow, sunny. Wednesday, sunny. The rest of the week, sunny until Saturday. And as I mentioned earlier, Kelly Johnson will be giving it to you a bit more in detail. But you know what? It's always sunny in Baltimore. It's always sunny in Baltimore, you know? And so, hey, birthdays. One of the things we want to do is start to celebrate people's birthday and talk about whose birthday. Our very own Dr. Michael Zollicoffer had a birthday on August 18th. A good friend of mine, Glenda Jackson, August 18th. Helen Holton, our former city council person, her birthday was on the 18th as well. Josh Crockett, comedian Pam Leake from Baltimore, August 19th. A good friend of mine, Dana Rose, yesterday's birthday. Kim Pollitt, August 20th. Her birthday. Happy birthday to each of you. Anybody that has a birthday, put it in the chat and let us know so we can give you a shout out for your birthday. All things good in Baltimore. Happy birthday to all of you that have a birthday this week or had one last week. And if you want us to announce it next week, your birthday, please just put it in the chat. What I'd like to do now is bring in someone who is going to be working with us going forward. Her name is Your Girl. No, her name is Cheryl Goodman. And they call her Your Girl Cheryl because Cheryl knows it all. Cheryl, welcome to, you got to say, Wake Up Baltimore.
Yeah, but I can't say it like you, Mike.
Wake Up Baltimore, Cheryl. Say it in your sexy stage voice as you do the stage announcements and all the events around Baltimore. Say it your way, Cheryl.
That was it. Wake up, Baltimore.
There you go. Wake up, Baltimore. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here, man. I tell you, I'm truly blessed. I've known you all my life, and people in Baltimore, just as Chap says, man, I got to get with Your Girl Cheryl because you have a following, right, of over 10,000 people, right?
Yeah. It's been a while building, but yes, it's about that.
And Cheryl, what do you do?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, I mean, over the years, talking about, you know, what's going on in Baltimore. That's been my thing. I've been working in the arts and entertainment for a long time. And, you know, and people used to always say, oh, nothing happens in Baltimore. Nothing's going on in Baltimore. And I always said, that's not true. You know, I know that there are things going on in Baltimore. And so I just made it sort of my job to find out what was happening, you know, all the music and dance and theater. And, you know, I love that kind of stuff. So, you know, that part was easy, gathering the information. And I've just trying to been sharing it on radio, when I host shows, now social media, just letting you know. And a lot of things that people may not look to. A lot of times we look for all the big stuff, you know, stuff that's happening downtown and at big theaters that's expensive. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on that's in communities that are really talented people are everywhere. And Baltimore has its share. I particularly like supporting Baltimore artists who have a lot who have done great things outside of Baltimore and have come back, and some who stay here. Just because your name is in the limelight, you know, somewhere else doesn't mean that you know, that's what it takes to be great or be worth going out to see. A lot of great local entertainment right here.
Well, Cheryl, we know that if there is great entertainment, you also give information about eateries and restaurants in your, you know, walk arounds and walk through Baltimore. And we have two great establishments here today who I know are going to be a benefit to what it is that you're able to do. There you say, good morning, Cheryl Goodman, or CG from Nick Savage. Yeah. They know you, Cheryl. So, Cheryl, you're an accomplished dancer, right? You're an accomplished dancer. You work with Baltimore Orchids at one point. You know, you do a lot of dancing in the area, dance instruction in the area. Tell us a bit about your background. Are you an accomplished pianist as well?
Well, I call myself actually a dance and piano hobbyist, okay? Because I don't do them professionally so much. As far as dance goes, I started an organization. Actually, we're celebrating our 20th year this year. Dance Baltimore started actually April 2003, and by accident. And we were, I was already working in the arts and arts administration, getting funding for arts and things like that. and was talking to someone, a funder, and we were just talking about the dance in Baltimore. How come Alvin Ailey doesn't come to Baltimore regularly? Why does everybody go to DC? That kind of thing. And so we start talking about what local dance people could do to have more dance here. And in an impromptu sort of meeting, the next thing I know, if anybody remembers the Mechanic Theater, the people who run the Mechanic Theater, actually Mark Sisman was his name, he heard about our meeting of dance professionals and offered us the theater for free and said, if the dance community wants to perform and do something, just do it and let me know and we can set that up. So he gave me like 3 months. And so, you don't have to tell me twice. If you give me a free space, I'll do something in. So put on a dance event in 3 months, got the dance community together. And at the start of the show, he was impressed. And he said, you can have this theater for 3 more years. And the Mechanic closed a little after that, but they moved to the Hippodrome. So we got to do our performance in the Hippodrome for a couple of years. And we couldn't do that without actually having an organization. So I started that organization back in 2003, and here we are 20 years later. And we're committed to having more professional, not just professional dance, but dance for everybody. Because like you said, I mean, you were sort of giving me up some chair dancing, which was very cool and very interesting to see, Mike. But
yeah, believe me,
I didn't know
man.
you had that in you, and known you a long time.
Neither. Anything for Baltimore, man. Sometimes you got to just take one for the team. You got to be the extrovert when you're really the introvert, because you just want people. And so what are we all going to take one for the team? Now, Cheryl, you're here because you are going to be helping us weekly, be it taped or you get a chance to come on live occasionally and tell us what's going on in Baltimore. So what's going on in Baltimore in the next few days, Cheryl, next week or two? What should we be paying attention to?
Okay, got to put my glasses on for this. As you might know, too, for a while I was doing this on WEAA. Well, I've done it a couple times. There was another radio station years ago, WPB Radio, and then on WEAA, What's Hot for the Weekend. And I would tell you what's going on. And so, and then I was on as a regular show in the evenings, but I always try to put in what's happening, what's going on. So in the next couple of weeks, actually, we've got some great music going on down there. You have, actually, this is a classmate of mine. Deep Waters Jazz Band is performing at Endyme Music this coming Friday. Daryl Adams is a friend of mine who is a part of that band. Also, Endyme Music is located on North Charles Street. A great space if you haven't been there. Years ago, it used to be the UB Blake Center. So if you remember, and they had a fire there, but they still do music there. Also, over at Keystone Corner, they've got so much going on. If you haven't been down there,
Keystone Corner, a
great thing. They just had, they have music all the time. But coming up this coming weekend, they have. I'm trying to think. Is it this weekend? They have Warren Wolf and
this Friday and Saturday. Warren Wolf,
right? And then also throughout the whole month of September, they've got Spur of the Moment. Fabulous violinist Chelsea Green, Norman Connors and Gene Carn will be there. Pat Metheny, Brian Simpson, and they've got a great lineup. And there's a regular band, the Jogo Project. I just had them at a community festival last week. They have a regular thing there. I think Jogo Project and Rufus Roundtree and the Be More Brass Factory. Those two, I think, do a regular monthly thing. So if you ever get a chance, check them out down there. You got some great comedy in the area. Adele Givens is going to be at the Baltimore Comedy Factory this week. And Damon Wayans will be there coming up. Also, let's see, who else do we have? Also this week, Mesa, Baltimore's favorite. Baltimore loves Mesa, Morgan State University graduate. She's going to be at Jazzy Summer Nights on September 1st. I sort of did this in 2 weeks because I can't believe that this is just, there's so much is happening. So I sort of put it in this 2-week stand. I'm having a little technical problem here. But
hey, it's all good. But Cheryl, people have an opportunity to look at your publication, right? And I want you to hang around for a bit. We bring James Hamlin and Casey Jenkins and Chef Casey Jenkins in, because I know that they know you as everyone knows you, and how we can be beneficial. And this is Black Business Month, right, as well. But to be able to go to your website, which is fantastically professionally done, right? I mean, and you have a magazine. Is it an online magazine or
It's an online magazine, and right now I'm redoing the website because some kind of technical thing happened, and it got, I don't know, it just disappeared. And so I'm building a new one. It will be up this week, but for right now, even if you go there, yourgirlcheryl.net is the website right now. But
yourgirlcheryl.net.
That's
and
it right
people
now.
can see
It might
what's
change
going
to .com.
on.
It'll
Right.
change to .com later this week. But the magazine is what's hot in the DMV. And if you go to my Facebook, it's always on Facebook. And if you're part of the part of my email list, I send that out. I was just reading the little message.
Yeah, you're reading from Nick Savage.
Yeah,
Awesome
about Deep
stuff.
Waters performing. Yeah. Also, but Your Girl Cheryl's the magazine, What's Hot in the DMV, focuses on because there's a full, looks like a magazine page turner, and but it's online and it's on Facebook, and I e-blast it out. But it always has a major story, but then also goes into highlights different local artists, different national artists that are coming to the area. And then a calendar listing of just activities for the next 2 months, because the magazine comes out every other month, but it's updated because it's digital. It can be updated every 2 weeks. So it can be updated every day actually, but I do it every 2 weeks, and it gets e-blasted out. So the thing is, get on my mailing list so I can send it to you, but I post it on social media as well. So it's on my Facebook page and also on Instagram, and you can just check it out.
Great, fantastic. Sure, I want you to hang around for a couple minutes because we want to talk about how we can promote our restaurants, and we've got two fantastic people in here that are going to be talking about their eateries and their entities in Baltimore. And, I know that there's some benefit and value when we're able to collaborate. But let's bring in Baker first, Jim Hamlin of the Avenue Bakery.
Hey, Jim.
Hamlin, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Sound like you know Cheryl. Sound like you know Cheryl already, huh?
Yeah, I know Cheryl.
Yeah, hey. Yes. I've been trying to talk about your space because I know you were doing some concerts during the summer.
And yes, we
talk
do.
About that in the magazine.
We've been at the bakery the first.
We're gonna bring in Casey because we don't want to leave Chef Casey Jenkins out of this conversation either. Even though he's kind of like, I won't call him a youngster. I won't call him a youngster.
No. Look at all God's graffiti on my face. I'm no youngster.
Get a raise.
What's up, Jim? I want to say this. Hold on. Good morning, Baltimore.
Casey,
isn't that what we're supposed to say?
Wake up, Baltimore. Wake up,
Baltimore. I screwed up my one line.
That's a different shit.
Well, listen,
one line, I screw it up.
As long as you cook us some good food, man, that's all we care about. Don't screw that up. I know Cheryl was asking Jim about some events because one thing about Jim and Casey is they're an integral part of the community. In order to provide, in addition to providing eatery opportunities, they also engage the community. And so Jim, you were talking with Cheryl about the events that you're having down there on the avenue next to your bakery. So continue on, man.
Yes, for the last 8 years, we have hosted a concert on the avenue. This season, we call it Matinee at the Royal in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Royal Theater. And that is the first Saturday of the month from May to September. So our last concert will be September, first Saturday of September. Our entertainer will be Dee Live out of Washington, D.C., and she does an awesome show. And she comes back every year, and it's we tent it out. We serve dinner and drinks, and we have limited seating. So we always tell everyone, "Hey, bring your lawn chair," and we have a great following.
Man, that is fantastic, man. So you're saying it's September 3rd, and it starts at what time, Jim?
From 4 to 8 p.m.
On the avenue, on Pennsylvania Avenue, as you begin to revitalize Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going to talk about that in a minute. you know, your efforts of being a business person down there on Pennsylvania Avenue. But we got Casey just up from you, not very far. Casey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good this morning. Thanks for having me on. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? It's been a while.
How are you? It's been a
You
minute.
guys know each other too? Sure, you know everybody,
She
man.
does.
Try.
She does.
Wow. So Casey, you're down there on Charles Street. You opened up the Darker Than Blue Grill, which was formerly on Greenmont, right? Who's that?
Oh, look
Is
at
that
the
the
picture.
governor?
Wow, yeah,
That's the
formerly on
governor.
Greenmount. And you know, I'll tell you, Mike, and I love telling people this story. Mike, you know, Mike was inspirational on putting me on the map. We met in a barbershop, and he came over to my restaurant. He lived not far from it. And next thing you know, I'm doing business with almost everyone, including the Great Blacks and Wax. So big ups to Mike, you know, for always supporting us. But yeah, we have our new location on 413 North Charles Street. So it's great, and I'm enjoying. It's been overwhelming, the incredible support. Mike, you were at the grand opening. Not what I expected at the grand opening, but it was overwhelming. And you know, like I like to tell people, we don't have customers anymore. We have family and friends that dine with us.
That is fantastic, Casey. And Casey, you know, absolutely awesome of you for just your tenacity in wanting to have an establishment of color, you know, in a community such as Charles Street, because you're right down there across from the, what is that, the cathedral as well,
Yeah,
right?
Basilica.
You're
We're right
Main
behind the
Street.
Basilica. Yep.
Yeah,
And we're just 2 doors over from Andi Music also.
From Ande Music, right? Exactly. And you know, you and Jim both. Jim's on that avenue. You're on Charles Street, two of the main streets here in Baltimore. Awesome cuisine. And Casey, you're right. I remember us meeting in the barbershop. Now, neither of us has been back in the barbershop since then because neither of us have very much hair, you know. But it's all good. It's all good.
Hey, Jim, you obviously go to the same barber we go to,
Jim.
Jim.
Jim goes to the same barber. I don't know if it's
I might go to the
something.
same barber too.
Oh, you know, sure, yours is more of a style. You know, Casey and I and Jim probably need to get a toupee, but I refuse to do that. If you're from Baltimore, no toupees, man, because I could probably have mine on crooked or whatever. But let's talk food. Let's talk food. So, Jim, you know, you know, bakery. So I have tasted your baked goods, right? The sweet potato pie, and you have what is it, banana pudding, and you had some dinner rolls that were out of this world. And you were back there at 3 o'clock in the morning baking this stuff. And what's your background, Jim? What'd you do? Just take this up as a hobby? Awesome stuff, man.
Well, you know, I started baking at home, and I'll tell everybody all the time, I'm a carbohydrate guy. I don't look like it, but hey, I'm a carbohydrate guy. And I love sweets and that sort of thing, and I love baking and creating. So I've been doing this for my family for years and years. My mom used to make dinner rolls, like yeast rolls back in the day, and I used to love them. Never got her recipe, made up a recipe of my own, and people kept telling me, hey, you ought to sell these things, you ought to sell these things. And but my background is corporate America, transportation, but at the same token, this is something that I used to do at home all the time for many, many years.
Wow. We're going to talk about how your place is transformed into a tourism destination as we find out first from Casey. You know, Casey, you know, you and food, man, because you went to one of the finer culinary institutions in the country, right, for your training. And you're a military guy. You're a military guy. And you get rave reviews for your food all the time, man. Talk about the culinary offerings that you have down there at Darker Than Blue and why we need to come and take the shrimp and grits. Now, when I came down there last, we sampled everything. Matter of fact, my check, hey, you guys, don't get discouraged because it's very affordable. My check was close to $500, man, and we were taking to-go bags away because give me that. How about that? It was, when you feel that way about going into a place, that's the place you want to go. But talk about your background with food, Casey, and why we should be down at Darker Than Blue eating.
Well, you know, I did start cooking in the Marine Corps, and that was so long ago. And after the Marine Corps, I attended the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, on the GI Bill. So it was a learning experience. We weren't making We weren't making things like when I was in the Marine Corps, a bechamel or a velouté or things of that nature. But when I went up to the Culinary Institute, I thought it was going to be an easy degree because I knew how to cook already. But no, that wasn't the case at all. But oddly enough, what I do at Darker Than Blue isn't necessarily what we did at the Culinary Institute. It's what I did in a lot of my career, working at some great places on the Water's Edge, Aquavits, and places like that. But this is more my mama. This is more my mother. And she gets all the love for her Mama J's salmon cakes and, you know, the fried chicken and things of that nature, because these are all things that I grew up on. And we started off trying to do fufu shishi type stuff. But I remember about a year or so after I opened, we got hit with the very first crash, when the housing market bubbled, if you will. So that was in 2008, October 10th of 2008. And we changed the entire menu and everything around. And it had to be something that was affordable for families to come in. So when Mike comes in and drops that black card on the table, you know, so we wanted to make more comfort food. And that's what we do. We sit around the table with a half a fried chicken for one person. Everybody gets a half a fried chicken with some candied yams, macaroni and cheese with a little bit of blue cheese in it. And everybody just sits back. I always can tell when you're happy, because you start off sitting up in the chair like this, and then all of a sudden I got you sitting back like this, you know, and I just look and I smile and I say, I got you. But I'll say this too. I always compliment other chefs on their good meals. Jim, look at me. Those are great rolls, man. Those are some great rolls. And I've sampled your product, the little mini sweet potato pies that you used to make. So it's a great product, man. And we definitely have to talk soon.
Definitely.
And see, that's what it's all about, the collaboration. So at some point, I may be able to get a sweet potato pie with my chicken or my shrimp and grits at Casey's place, and your girl Cheryl may be actually telling me to go there and get that, you know?
Yeah.
So and you have at your place tonight a event for Black Wall Street, right? I believe with Donnie Glover. You have an event there that's celebrating one of our icons in tourism and hospitality, Lou Fields, and I think they're also recognizing the governor-to-be's wife, Dawn Moore, who is a powerhouse of a businesswoman herself. But you two gentlemen, in addition, and Cheryl as well, as being, you know, in your own environment, you're also community advocates, right? So Casey, I know that you serve on the Maryland Tourism Development Board. I have seen you sit mayors down and begin to let them know exactly what they weren't doing, right? And you've become a bit more diplomatic, and I've become a bit more radical. I think that when we had the barbershop, a lot more kind of rubbed off of each other. But, you know, Casey, talk about, you know, your advocacy for tourism, African-American tourism. You've done the Black Restaurant Week here in Baltimore, which I think just went away. Talk about why and why we need to be aware and supportive of this.
Well, you know, I'm more today. I have this term that I like to use for myself, and I'm more what I call PP, and that's politically positive. You know, I used to be a bull in a china shop, and it gets your name out there. Not always in the best way, but I was always fighting the good fight. But then I realized that it was easier for me to start bringing people to the table to have conversations rather than, you know, trying to berate them if they're not doing the job that we think that they should be doing. Because if they're not doing the job that they should be doing, you know, we get them out of there in 4 years. So, but it's critical being in the restaurant industry and being in the hospitality industry that we, you know, restaurants used to be places where people would come, they'd meet, you know, things would happen from restaurants. Plans would be hatched from restaurants. So you look at something like the United States Marine Corps, started in Tunn's Tavern in 1776. So, you know, we do these things, we get people together. So when I supported Governor Hogan 8 years ago, I got the opportunity to meet Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford, and Mike, you know, I brought him to a meeting that we were all at, and you guys ended up becoming friends also. And when that happened, I took a different perspective on it. And when they put me on the board of tourism, the first person that introduced me at our very first convention was you, Mike, and that it's been great because there was one thing that was going on that, you know, sometimes when you don't have that person sitting at the table of color, we would get left out. So I remember we were putting together these $1 million byway videos, they were called, but there weren't any people that looked like us. And we were telling everybody that Maryland is open for business. But what were we saying? Was it open for business for people except us? So, you know, I stood on that table and I stood on that chair and I was like, no, we cannot do these videos. We need more people of color in these videos. And they heard me. And some of the other videos that they put out afterwards, because these were already produced, they had people of color. They had African-American women, African-American men, and showing that we are open for business, the state of Maryland, because the state of Maryland is good. So I do give Governor Hogan and the Lieutenant Governor a lot of respect for that, because as a restaurateur, politics, food, people, they all come together in the same location.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Casey. When I attended your grand opening and all of them came together in the same places, regardless of political affiliation. And you're right, positive persuasion, changing the trajectory, changing the conversation, because that's what we're doing here, man. You know, no negativity. You know, it's all positive. And I know Jim's doing some wonderful things up there. And we're going to get back to you, Casey, about that, because we know that we hear you on a radio spot around town too. So it shows you telling us to come and visit Maryland. But Jim, you're doing some awesome things up there on the Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, which was the Black Arts and Entertainment District. It is today. That's the way we see it. It's our Black Arts and Entertainment District. We just need to do some investment. And so you're leading some efforts on that regard, right? In addition to being a power of example of bringing people into and on Pennsylvania Avenue from all around the world. What are you doing, Jim?
Well, you know, our focus is the revitalization of our historic community and creating jobs and careers right in our community, which we had when I grew up in that community. That's the problem that we have when you talk about kids not having jobs and not being focused, and making sure that we give them an opportunity to economically empower and engage themselves. And so with that being said, with all the history and the legacy that we have on Pennsylvania Avenue, everything from arts and entertainment to politics to social change to the civil rights movement and all of it. And a lot of folks don't realize that that was the heart of the civil rights movement. You know, you think Atlanta, you think King, but the heart of the civil rights movement was right here in Baltimore, in and around Pennsylvania Avenue. And so the whole idea is to revitalize historic Pennsylvania Avenue. And with that, we formed a 501c3, and we have been promoting and working on a project called the Rural Theater and Community Heritage Center, which would be the anchor of, and any project, all projects have anchors, and the anchor would be the Rural Theater, and having the Rural Theater, a jazz center, ethnic restaurants. So that's one, at one point, Casey and I, you and I need to sit down and talk, because we're talking about bringing all of our ethnic offerings of Baltimore to one location, historic location that people all over the world are familiar with. And the whole idea of the bakery was not an aspiration or a dream. The bakery is a means to an end, to attract people from around the country, educate them on the history and legacy of our community, and build upon that, and take advantage of the third largest industry in Baltimore City, which is the tourism. Tourism is more than a $10 billion industry annually and growing. And a lot of that is African-American tourism. And so we wanted to prove the point that people would come back, and we wanted to make sure that we put something on Pennsylvania Avenue you can't get anyplace else. The Avenue Bakery, home of Popeye's Rolls, you can't get Popeye's Rolls anyplace else in the world but Pennsylvania Avenue. And people
Wow.
have asked me to put bakery all over the place. And I say, you missed the point. The point is to get you here and educate you. Now, we have been in that process of educating. Every year we've been there, we have unveiled a piece of artwork or photo montage that depicts the history and the legacy of the community. As a result, we have attracted people from all over the country, as far away as Canada, Sweden. 2 weeks ago, I had a young lady there from France, and people of all colors. And Pennsylvania Avenue was a melting pot. You came there because of the entertainment, the jazz, the food, and all of that. And we can create that in an environment that is safe. And if people can come to the Avenue for the little bakery that's there, imagine this project where there's a theater, there's arts, there's entertainment, there's ethnic restaurants, there's shops, there's incubator business facility where an artist can come and bring his or her raw material and come out with a finished product. But that's what we see as far as the future. And it has not been just thoughts. We have a plan. And that's the problem we have too, that we're trying to address. And that make sure that we have economic opportunity within our community.
There's no doubt about that, Jim. And I think that when you look at you, Cheryl, and Casey, and the rest of us, right, and let's get us all back on the screen again, right? Let's get all Cheryl, and, Cheryl talked about the UB Blake Center, now the Hippodrome, and so we know about historic Pennsylvania Avenue and what was happening there. And, Casey talking about the advocacy of tourism and what you're doing in your own little space. And when we're able to collaborate and share information as we are now and able to support each other in those efforts, because we know the red line is coming close to Pennsylvania Avenue, and that red line is going to have a tremendous impact. We know that where Casey is Casey. Well, first of all, Casey, when that picture that they showed you and I, you were down in Annapolis, man. You continue to advocate for stuff,
Yeah, I remember that.
And we are a melting pot, and we got Cheryl. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, I just want to make this point. From a general public point of view, as an audience member, people connect arts and entertainment with food. So usually a lot of times, and that's where the economic impact sometimes gets expanded, because people go to the theater, they go out to dinner. They dinner first, or they go out afterwards for entertainment. You go see something, then you go see some music later after you've had a meal, or you stop, you have a festival, you have the food vendors there. So there's a connection between the eateries and the food service restaurants and all that in Baltimore and arts and entertainment. So from a non-political sort of point of view, just as an audience member, you are adding to the economic impact of the city and the growth of the city economically when you combine those two. And it's a natural thing. It's not something you have to feel like I'm supporting the city by doing that. No, you're just having a good time. But your good time helps the city because all that's connected. And over the years, I've done, I think, maybe a few events on Pennsylvania Avenue, but there's one coming up that I'm producing, Jazz in the Square. This will be the 4th anniversary of the jazz concert that they do in Lafayette Square Park. It celebrates Billie Holiday. As I was talking again about local artists, even though she wasn't really born here, we sort of claim her. But that's an event that's happening on September 10th. That's coming out. But over the years, I've worked a lot with more on the backside of the arts. I don't, unlike Casey, I haven't been a bull in the china shop.
Yeah,
I think that would be attractive. So for me, I was sort of went in the back way, and I've focused more on funding. So I've written a lot of grants, particularly for smaller organizations, to help them build what they do. And so, people want to be able to go to things. A lot of times things aren't affordable. But when funding is made available, and there are a lot of local organizations, government and private foundations that do support local arts, particularly at places like the UB Blake Center. And of course, can't do anything if I don't talk about the arena players. This organization has been in Baltimore the longest continuing community, African-American continuing community theater in the country. I think they're celebrating 65 years coming up, something like that. So they haven't announced their season yet. But, there's so many local arts organizations and local arts activities that are going on that do connect with the food industry as well. And so I like to think of it as just your total entertainment, not just let me go here and support this one thing because my sister's in it. That's not so much. I mean, you might do that, but there's great entertainment everywhere. And we're looking to, like you talk about collaboration, that sounds a little bit more business-like, but you're part of it. You're collaborating when you go out to the theater and then you go have something to eat, or that's a collaboration in a different kind of way.
And so what you're saying, Cheryl, is when we go out and support and spend our dollars in these entities, and one thing about this show is it's all people, all Baltimore, just as Casey and Jim both implied, is that we're a melting pot. So you'll see the dynamics begin to expand, but this is a medium that we want to not necessarily control, but ensure that, as you mentioned, Casey, all people eat, but we eat first. Maybe that's the way it looks, you know what I'm saying? But everyone's invited at the table, because for decades we fought, but it's only taken a couple of weeks for us to, ensure that that table is widened so that all people are sitting at the table, because, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And that's how we're going to operate in that positive manner. And I want, before we go, because I appreciate the time that you all have given us, and your girl Cheryl will be here weekly with her updates, right? And, Casey and James, we want to support their entities, their business. We want to help them with the advocacy. So, Casey, the days that you're open, the times, and if we could put the location up there, Casey's place, and his website as well, Casey.
All right. Well, we're open. We're open every day except Monday. We open at 4. We close at 10. Reservations are required. We do a great Sunday brunch. Our Sunday brunch starts at 11 and ends at 2:30. We have 2 separate seatings, so definitely come out and check us out at 413 North Charles Street. Also wanted to say something, Jim, to build on what you said. We had one meeting already of a group of Black-owned restaurants about 3 weeks ago. We have a second one coming up the second Monday in September. So Jim wants you to come on out, because we are in February putting together a program that was like the Black Restaurant Challenge, where we're all getting together and we're all going to be doing something. And Mike, the last thing I wanted to say to you, you got an invite on the way. We're having a huge party here for Boyd, for him going out of office. So
absolutely, man.
It's gonna be a big event. So Cheryl, we got to get you on that too.
Okay.
Hey, Casey, thank you so much, Chef Casey, man. Chef Casey, and you're more than just a chef in our community, man. And we are going to support you and ensure that people know 413 Charles 4 to 10, open every day with the exception of Mondays, and the food is outstanding. Keep doing what you're doing. And Jim, how about you, man? When are you open?
We're open Thursdays and Fridays, 7:30 to 2:30, Saturday 8 to 4, and Sunday 10 to 2:30 for the church crowd. And I would like to say, Casey, I'm looking forward to attending that meeting, but certainly at some point I would love to host you all's meeting at our place. Yep. And for Cheryl, it's nice seeing you again, and we need to talk as well. But again, Casey, we need to sit down and talk about strategy as well when it comes to revitalizing our historic Pennsylvania Avenue and getting everybody included and aware of the vision and what has taken place.
Absolutely. We're going to revitalize the city of Baltimore. We've got Port Covington, we're Vegan Fest, and we had Najee and Greg Brown of the Land of Kush restaurant that were invited. They were there all weekend and an instrumental part of putting on that Vegan Fest down in Port Covington, but we'll get them back on at some other time. But Jim, we can't go away without wishing you happy birthday. Your birthday's August 24th coming up.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's the same day as one of my spoiled children, man. Oh my God, this child gets. But we're gonna recognize August 24th in spite of Rachel. But happy birthday, Jim. Hopefully somebody bakes you a birthday cake. So, have an awesome day. And sure, we're going to give you some time, man. What do you want to say?
I just want to say that one thing, as your girl Cheryl, a lot of times, I try to give information all the time, give information of what's going on, what's happening. But people call me, they email me, they want to know where they can take their guests that are coming to town, what they can do the weekend. And the one request I get most often is most people want to know about the Black-owned restaurants in the city. They want to know where they can go to eat that's Black-owned. And because I try to keep a list of that kind of thing, I can tell them. But I just wanted you guys to know, you might know that already, but whether they're tourists or whether they're here, people who are residents here, I get that request a lot. And so I might need to talk to these two of you. I know I talked to Casey about a directory and in my magazine, I do usually highlight a restaurant I used to do it all the time. COVID sort of cut that down a little bit, but I need to that's the collaboration I'd like to have. It's just more.
Well, you heard Casey mention, you heard Casey mention, Cheryl, you should just be a bull in that china shop about a meeting of restaurateurs. And in the next few weeks, he's inviting Jim. Maybe he's going to invite you too. Because, if I was a restaurant, I'd pay $50 or $100 to, be part of your Girl Cheryl magazine. And sure, I want my commission, man, right? This is America. God bless America. And I am not a moral capitalist. Like the guests we got coming on, that I want you all to stay, so that let's bring this moral capitalist on, Michael Zollicoffer. Then I'll let you guys let's push Dr. Zollicoffer, who is a staple in our community, and we're here to talk about community health. But I want you all to help me wish Dr. Zollicoffer happy birthday. Right? Where did Casey go?
Mike.
So I'm not a moral capitalist, Cheryl. So when we hook you up with Casey and Skip was the organization that Casey started a few years ago of all the Black restaurants and catering organizations and food trucks, so that they could collaborate on marketing, collaborate on purchasing. And so, we'll get you that information. And Jim, Cheryl, thank you so much. We're going to have the next few minutes talking about Dr. Zollicoffer going back to school with the parents and grandparents and what they need to prepare for. And we're also going to talk a bit about Dr. Zollicoffer's $1 for 1 million campaign. But Dr. Zollicoffer, how you doing, man?
I'm making it, brother. Hanging.
Thank you so much for being here. And as I told people, we're going to have you on for the next few weeks. And first of all, this is a Wildcat jersey. I told you all that we're going to be promoting whatever, right? And so the Wildcats from Northwestern High School, and maybe you're from Poly, maybe you're from City, maybe you're from Reginald Lewis, maybe you're from Dunbar. If you want your recognition for your school and a jersey, and I may even consider wearing it, the only thing I'm not going to wear is a Pittsburgh Steeler for sure, I think, unless it's a great bet. And I am not going to wear, well, it'd be tough to wear Poly, but we're going to honor our schools, our high schools, our colleges here in the landscape of Baltimore. So Wake Up Baltimore. Today we're waking up to the Wildcats of Northwestern High School, of which I know Michael Zollicoffer, you attended as well. But let's give the people some back to school health tips. Now, we know we got grandmamas out here and granddaddies out here raising their children. We got parents, daddies, and mamas that are all preparing to get their kids back to school. Dr. Zollicoffer, before we get into the $1 for 1 million campaign, what should we be aware of relative to school? So many of us are transitioning back out of COVID fully. No mask, no social distancing. All that has been forgotten now, right?
Right.
Where are we at, Dr. Zollicoffer, as it relates to community health right now?
Well, community health, and let's talk specifically about the schools, since you have mentioned it. The number one thing you got to do for school is get your shots. Not just COVID shot. It's not required for school, but it'd be wonderful if you did. But biggest thing we have is what holds you up and what keeps you from being able to register and stay in school once you start is getting your immunizations done. You have to go and get your shots. And there's many places to do that. If you can't get around, if you in a certain situation, health departments can do it. KIP has a good immunization clinic for certain age groups of city residents. You need shots to get into the kindergarten and around the preschool areas, and also 7th grade has a certain set of shots that many people don't know about. So the biggest thing is immunizations. Get that done, and then you can get entry into a school system. The second point is that we as a society need to look at what we need to bring to that table in school. So get prepared to challenge your school administrators, your PTAs. We said earlier in many shows before, and I did one last night on WAA with David Brown, and I talked about discipline. We have a school system that's in shambles. We have a school system that cannot educate our children the way it should be. It's not a total parent's fault. It's not a total school fault. It's a societal fault. But one thing we can do is try to enhance the discipline that our children do. You and I and Cheryl, who was just here, grew up in discipline. Not only did we grow up in discipline, we learned through Wildcat mentality. through Northwestern's energy of what it was to be a group of people who stay together. You and I here have been 40 some years since graduation, and you're doing a wonderful job on the show. Cheryl doing her wonderful job on radio and all the things that she can do. And all of your guests earlier. That's health. That's health. That's what discipline brings. That's what things that we need to educate ourselves bring. So when we get these kids together, grandmas and aunts and any parent that is there, whoever fills that role, needs to be an advocate to help change the conditions of this city so we can stop seeing, as I've said too many times, 7 gunshot wounds I've seen in my office in the last year. I haven't seen 7 gunshot wounds in 36 years of medicine. These are all the people under 25. We have a problem. So getting ready for school is not just shots, not just putting on good clothes and getting your backpacks and your pencil sharpened. It's about looking at to educate the social order and to change what is happening in the public school system.
So, Dr. Zolikoff, it seems that what you're saying is that there's some simple mental health things that we can do as a family, as a larger family of community, before we even have to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, is that, how we practice relationships and how we engage relationships and how we set the tone and example for our young people and our children are things that will be helpful from a mental health perspective. So you talked about vaccines, the shot, right? And then you talked about the mental aspect of health as well with our young people. So when we talk about discipline as parents and grandparents, what does that look like that is within the law now? Because you know that you can't spank and beat kids. Like, my mama used to take a pancake turner, man, and it was the best therapy for me.
That's right.
But I didn't look back on that 20 years from now ago and realize that it was good therapy, because at that point, it didn't feel too good, and I didn't consider it therapy. But it was absolutely therapy when I look back on it, right?
That's right. That's right.
What can we do as parents and grandparents now?
When we say spanking, we put that into a thing, but what we're talking about is discipline. But that can be on the agenda.
Is there such a thing as a good spanking?
Oh, I think very well.
Okay, then let's talk about the good aspects of spanking and how we can get our children to enjoy a good spanking, and moreover, how we can get the police not to lock us up for a good spanking.
Right. If you ain't leaving a major mark, police are not locking you up. But the point being is this: you cross Park Heights and go against the red light and it's green, and you survive to the other side, you need a harsh talk to or a slap on the wrist, because I'm trying to not have you kill yourself. There's a point where we put spanking as a negative. No, we want to put a little quote around it. We want to give you a discipline, but that's a discipline meaning love.
I remember my mother said to me so many times, it hurts me more than it hurts you. And I used to say to myself, well, why don't you self-inflict this pancake turn on you then, if it hurts you more than it hurts me? Because I know that I'm feeling that pain. And they say, I'm only doing this because I love you. Now, how can we convey that message, right? Now, you did give us a suggestion that when we do use corporal punishment out there, do not leave a mark. That doesn't mean to leave the pillow over their face when they start crying for like 5 minutes, because that is almost fatal, right? But you said something about a mark. So what do we do? Put a belt or a pancake turner inside an oven mitt and hit them with that? I mean, what do we do, man?
I think what we mean by that more than anything, when we get to the point where we have to use a physical contact, make that
physical contact, like
meaning like we said, you spank with your hand or whatever. to put that as just the top of your discipline sort of triangle. You only need that.
Let me ask you, Dr. Zollicoffer, how about this? How about if we do this? Can we throw them a football when they make us upset and then go tackle them?
Hey, if that gets you where you need to go, fine.
You know what I'm saying? Just pick them up, body slam them or something like that, so that we're within the realms of the law. I mean, what are the new techniques that we can use nowadays so that we don't find ourselves in front of Judge Judy, facing 2 years because we have disciplined our own child?
Right. I think what you just opened up is exact. We don't need to recreate anything. It is the bulk of what you do as discipline is create a respect for authority. That's all you're doing. That's what discipline means. Wherever you get there, whether it's your thing with the tackle with the football, whether it's a spoon with a padding on it. The point I'm getting everybody to understand, we have to get involved. We have got to not let this non-spanking moving away from a passive way of going about discipline. You need to put discipline. Discipline is initiating respect. It is putting something that you're guided by so we can move ourselves to a point where we don't continue to see what we see in the society. Too many gunshots, too many points of fighting in streets. Something's wrong here. Young people.
Dr. Zollicoffer, let's talk some disciplinary opportunities here.
Right.
So let's talk about TV time. Let's talk about cell phone use. Let's talk about bedtime as opportunities to instill discipline, because discipline is not necessarily just a physical attribute, right? So we have moved, I know in certain jurisdictions, they have moved the start time back. I remember I used to catch a bus at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to be at school at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I better not be late. Now they're accommodating, right, young people, because they said, well, they need more sleep. Well, if they went to bed at a certain time, then they would get more sleep, right? That's true. Let's talk about an elementary kid or a middle schooler, and you're a pediatrician, right? What time should I be putting my grandchild? Well, they ain't staying here, so that ain't going to happen. But all those that have grandchildren that stay with them and parents, what time should my children be going to bed if they have to be at school at 8 o'clock in the morning?
I don't think there's an actual time. I don't advocate there's an actual time. I think what has to be is functioning within that household. I think what we're saying right now is in order to get a child prepared, there's many variables, and they can change within the household. I think it's a reasonable point of time if somebody's up 1 or 2 and 4 in the morning and not being able to function, then we try to change that. We try to get them to bed, but many times that kid is in there playing and doing something on a phone or a computer, and it's still not sleep. I think the key thing is not just on one aspect of rest; it's the global aspect.
Should an 8-year-old have a cell phone, Dr. Zollicoffer? Should a 10-year-old have a cell phone?
I would never say fully no. I think it's a parental family.
Did you have a phone when you were 10 years old?
We didn't have much of anything when we were 10 years old, Mike. We had a dial, and we were lucky to find a payphone. But no,
let me ask you something. If that's the case, then what does a child at 8 or 10 years old need a cell phone for, Dr. Zollicoffer? How come you can't say no, they don't need one?
Because I just not the way I work it, brother. I think we could look at it and talk about it. I mean, because so many times in the office, they play games, they have things that they could do on a phone. It's not just making a call. I don't think an 8-year-old makes a call, but that is still a part of their life now. Just as our life, we were happy when we first got a cell phone. So life is different, but I think the key thing is how to put things in a place where we don't get overburdened with anything. When you sit back and let social media dictate to you, then I think you're going too far. When you let something overwhelm you, when you don't have a discipline in the classroom and kids in high school got a 1.0 GPA at a significant rate, I think you need to look at how do we codify that and change that. So it's not one thing. I think we do so much wrong if I come up here and lay the law down to you have to have 8 glasses of water, which was always a joke. But people start believing it. So you're coming from a mouth of an authority. I'm saying, let's look at things and make the best decision per household, because there's not one set way to get disciplined and open kids up.
So final question, Dr. Zollicoffer, before we get to $1 for 1 million, right? Final question. opportunity for my children going to school and my grandchildren as we kick off. We had unbelievable book bag week events this past weekend. They got book bags, they got pencils and papers and all the things that they need, and they're getting energized. We went out to Kmart and Walmart and Target and bought clothes for the kids, et cetera, et cetera. How, as a parent, as I get my young people ready, right, and grandparent, because we got to realize that in our society now, we are dually raising kids. Parents and grandparents are dually raising kids in many, many instances. Not mine, but many instances we're raising kids. How do parents get ready for the new school year? What are the commitments and promises that I need to make to get off to a great start? I remember when I went to school, man, I go there already because I'm going to be a straight A. Mine lasted only a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
My actionable list to be a positive student lasted only a day because I was just totally out of control, right? But it was all good. But how, as a parent and a grandparent, what does my actionable list look like? Is the start of it, make sure my kid goes and gets the proper rest, going to a PTA meeting. What is it that I need to do to support my child and be a great parent? Because I believe that's where the issue is. It isn't systemic. It's with the household and the parents, the issues that we have with kids in school.
Well, and also the school itself. I think the big thing on the list is you need to check yourself. How much do you look to educate your own being? Parents come in and we hear that thing, raise your children. When they're in my office and I counsel people, I said, never raise your child. The first thing you need to raise is yourself. When you raise yourself to a point where you have matured and continue to nurture and mature, then your kid comes along behind a good example. So before we give an example to the kid, what example are you to you? Good to have backpacks and pencil giveaways. I would love to see some of that change, and we give a thing of changing the character of society giveaway. Have everybody come up and let's talk. Let's figure out how we change the environment that we know is wrong.
Wow.
We know something is wrong. So raise yourself as a parent before you even think about raising your child. That's the best thing I can give anybody.
Wow, man, that's powerful, man. That is powerful. That statement that you made about character, the power of example is what I got out of that. What's the power of example that we're setting and showing to our young people as parents and grandparents? There's a lot of room to grow. So you're watching Wake Up Baltimore. We've got Dr. Zolikoff or Dr. Zolly talking about health and mental health in our community. And what we want to do the last couple minutes, Dr. Zolikoff, is talk about this $1 for 1 million campaign, man, and how we can support community medicine and community health care, which you are not only an advocate, but you're a power of example of. So talk to us, Dr. Zolikoff, the last couple minutes about $1 for 1 million.
$1 for 1 million is a thought process of mine, not just for medicine. It comes from the need of the pandemic, putting many solo practices, including myself, on the point of not even being viable or around anymore. So we need to save the solo practice, especially a Black practice. A Black doctor who's not controlling his own wherewithal and being his own boss is just caught into the corporate system. So we want to be able to get $1 for 1 million. And just think how easy that would be if we could snap our fingers tomorrow. Then we could share the dollars to keep these solo practices going, including myself. That's the key. But one key I heard when I listened to you earlier, when I listened to the Restaurateurs and I listened to Cheryl, that was health. See, in order to get those restaurants back on, they fall on financial hardships. $1 for 1 million is not just in the concept of medicine. And it's a 501(c)(3) funded thing, so you can donate to it. But I want us to understand. I'm talking about changing the way we as a society do business. We can save our own lives. If I have enough in my coffers, I'll help Casey and his restaurant because that's health. If you can get Pennsylvania Avenue back up with life, you then help health. The number one problem with our health is our stress level. We live in a very poor city when it lost almost 500,000 citizens over the last 40 years. There's a problem. So my $1 for 1 million, yes, it's for me. We've got to save that Black doctor. We got to save, back in my old days, if people can remember the Garwin Medical Center mentality, where my dad and many other minority doctors had a whole collection of us helping each other. So $1 for million is the concept that we need to help incite into society to change the way we do business. We need to help ourselves. And when we help ourselves, we help our health. Health is directly connected to the economic situation we have in the city.
Well, you know, Dr. Zolikoff, I know next week when you come back on, and we're going to talk about another aspect of community health, and we're going to have a what I call to action about the $1 for 1 million campaign, because you know you are an asset to the community. You're an asset with the information you gave today, and we'll have some other health tips for people, but moreover, an action plan for $1 from 1 million. And can Dr. Zolikoff, you tell us how people can reach you? I know you've gotten numerous donations towards $1 for 1 million for community health benefits. Tell us how people can reach you or how people can contribute to $1 for 1 million.
Put things up before. We have a Zelle account that I think you can put information back up. And that's coming straight through me, through my email address, drzolly@aol.com. We have a Cash App that people have been sending money through. That is Mike Zolikoff. If we get a chance to put those up, you can definitely see those. Those are the main places, other than also looking at things as we formulate this whole campaign. We have other ways to do that also that we'll let the community know about. But right now, the Cash App and Zelle are the number ones. And if anybody, drzolly@aol.com is my email. My office number is 410-542-1725. Or guess what? You can just walk in. My office is a community center. You walk in, we take care of you. As we state, there's no barriers there. We have no dollars. I see you. This is a community center, just as we talk about restaurants and everything else. So if you can't remember those things we gave earlier, come on in. I got a cup. I got a jug. You put your dollar in. This is a community effort. This is to save lives. This is to save the city and save what we can do for ourselves and empower ourselves. We can save our own lives.
Well, Dr. Zolikoff, thank you very much. And they'll also be able to get the information off of our Facebook page, Wake Up Baltimore Facebook page. And you will be back next week talking about health in our community, as well as the $1 for 1 million campaign. Thank you for being here with us today, Dr. Zolikoff, and we'll talk to you soon. And again, happy belated birthday to you, man.
Appreciate it, my friend. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Wake Up Baltimore. Thank you all so much for being here today on Wake Up Baltimore. Positive news for a positive community as we begin to change the trajectory of how we communicate with each other, you know, in Baltimore, all things Baltimore. You know, today we talked about our production team that is instrumental in giving you this professional vantage. It's just as good as any other network channel you go to, particularly one that just promotes negativity. Hopefully you leave here uplifted, understanding all the good that's occurred. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, you know, Mike Haney on YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube and look forward to seeing each of you next week. And hey, you know, another thing, if you want to communicate, if you have a story of interest that's positive, Wake Up Be More 730. Wake Up Be More 730 at gmail.com is the way that you communicate to us. Wake Up Be More 730 at gmail.com. And all positive news, all positive stories, all Baltimore. Look forward to seeing you next Monday in Wake Up Baltimore. Wake up.